Hi everyone. So today we had the semi-final allocation draw for the 35 participating countries in the semi-final. And you're with me, Tim, and I'm with Dominik and Julian to
Hey.
discuss what we think of the allocation draw. So let's get on with it. In today's allocation draw, we also had the allocation of which semi-final the Big Five and the host country, the Netherlands, will be voting into, and then what came up with that is that in semi-final one, Italy, Germany, and the Netherlands will be voting, and in semi-final two, France, United Kingdom, and Spain will be voting. So to start things off, we're just gonna see what everyone thinks of the allocation draw as an overall picture. So let me start off with you, Julian. What did you think of it?
I think it isn't as unbalanced as in past years. If we look at, for example, 2000, uh, I think it was 2018, where was like some clear favorite. But I think both semis are quite strong, although I think semi one is, by the looks of it by now, the stronger one. But I think it will make for an interesting mashup. And yeah, we still have only one song out, so everything can change still.
Dominic, what is your opinion of it overall?
Yes, well, as Julian said, we only have one song, but by the looks of it, the first semifinal is very tough. And I think some producers already said that semifinal one could be very tight based on the names. But yeah, we still have so much to come, and it's still difficult with all the big names in the first semifinal because there are like, I think, five countries that have like the biggest qualification rate, and maybe there's some shockers that some countries you might think qualify for sure won't qualify. Um, I'm excited to see what's going on when we have the songs.
All right, then. Same for me as well. It's looking likely that the first semi-final is the strongest, and it looks like semi-final two is wide open for everyone, and it's looking likely we're gonna have another case of 2016 where the first semi-final is really great, and then the second one is just gonna be like it's you can't really just seeing at the list. I can't really say who I think will be the top 10 because you just never know nowadays. All right, then. So we are now gonna break this down half by half, and we're gonna start off obviously with the first semifinal. Um, so on the first half, we have North Macedonia, Belarus, Lithuania, Sweden, Slovenia, Australia, Ireland, and Russia. And on the second half, you have Norway, Cyprus, Croatia, Azerbaijan, Malta, Israel, Ukraine, Romania, and Belgium. So, what do we think of the first semi-final, Dominic?
Well, we have I think with like countries that typically vote for each other, it's like very wide open. We have countries from everywhere, like everything's like equal, like Eastern, some Nordics, we have Australia, we have some Western countries. I think um, it might be tight race for the 10 qualification spots, especially because we only have 17 countries. We have like 18 in the other one, where I think 17 might be okay, it's one less competition country, but I think the race is also very tight in the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, you've got two countries here who have a 100% qualification rate. Take Ukraine, and also take Australia, who has consistently qualified since they participated in the semifinals. What else? I can see North Macedonia, Croatia, and Slovenia is basically the ex-Yugoslav countries who are also there. So by them reducing the pots from 6 to 5 this year, it's looking likely that they're trying to make sure that it's not as obvious that like neighborly voting exists. But for me, yeah, there's some very obvious ones, but then there are some countries where you just think, okay, they're gonna be in real danger because of the fact that they either don't have any neighbors or they just have a poor qualification rate. But then that's my thoughts. How about your thoughts, Julian? What do you think?
I think it's also particularly interesting to see that 6 countries, I think, are in the first semifinal who were top 10 last year. I think that's North Macedonia, Sweden, Australia, Russia, Norway, and Azerbaijan. And if they keep that standard up, those are 6 qualifiers that are already set. And additionally to that, we have Belgium, who have already announced their act with Hooverphonic, who seem like they want to win this whole thing, so they aim very high. And some very strong contenders like Lithuania, we have a very strong selection with them this year. So they are like most of the 10 places are already like reserved or like have strong contenders. So I think this is going to be very hard. And we have a lot of countries who haven't decided yet, like Malta, or we don't know anything from Azerbaijan. So it's going to be very tough.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then moving on, we are going to the second semi-final, and on the first half, we have Austria, Moldova, Poland, San Marino, Serbia, Iceland, Czech Republic, Greece, Estonia, and on the second half, we have Denmark, Bulgaria, Switzerland, Finland, Armenia, Latvia, Georgia, Portugal, and Albania. Uh, Julian, your thoughts?
I think it's a very interesting semi. Uh, you returning Bulgaria. You have countries who have been very strong in the past, but also countries who have very mixed results. For example, Iceland, who got top 10 last year but didn't qualify in the years before, or Portugal, who won in 2017 but then crashed again last year. So as we know none of the songs, it's really a hit or miss for the semi. This suddenly could turn out to be even stronger than semi-final one if the songs are right, but it can also go in the complete other direction with the songs being bad or mediocre, and this is suddenly by far the weakest. But at this time, it's you can't really call what's going to happen with it.
Mm-hmm. And Dominik?
Yes. First, I would just want to point out when we talk about the stronger semifinal and the weaker semifinal, just for maybe broadcasters who watch this, we don't mean that only the good songs are in the first semifinal. We just think that in the second semifinal it's maybe tighter and maybe like wide open. So that's also what I think. Like in the second semifinal, we have expectations for some countries, and these are probably very close, and anything can happen. We have one country more than in the first semifinal, but I think it could be very tight from the first place to like the 15th, 16th place. Based on the names, could be very tight. And yeah, it's hard to say. We know some songs from some selections, like Denmark or Czech Republic has a great selection. And if they all keep up this standard and surprise us, maybe this is like the unexpected semifinal where everything can happen.
Mm-hmm. All right, then. For me, it's with the way they've done the part, obviously, it surprised us quite well with the mixture of countries, not just in this semi, but in the other semi. But I am just gonna say out there that even though we think that semi-final 2 is the weaker, as the Euro fandom would say, I'd say for me, usually the weaker semi-final can usually turn out to be the one where it can surprise us, because looking at this list again, I can't give you a top. I can't, even though we don't know the song, I can't give you a 10 who can sail through, because of the fact that the most of the countries in this list are mostly like have a lot of inconsistencies in regards to qualifying for the grand final. So my my I think my sentiment on this is we shouldn't really underestimate a semi-final for being weak, just because our country hasn't qualified for like a lot of years. I mean, I'm looking at this. I think the one that hasn't qualified quite a lot is what I'd say is I'd say Georgia, because I don't think I've seen them in the final since 2016. So I mean, it having this weaker semi can actually an advantage to some of these countries who rarely qualify. So I mean, we already have the artist for Georgia. We don't know the type of song, but with the fact that they're in a semi where it's wide open, anything can happen, and they might end up qualifying. And so that's my sentiment on it.
And for the second semifinal, you also have a lot of broadcasters who are usually trying more different stuff and more experimental stuff. For example, Iceland last year had a very experimental entry that was very controversial, and in the end, it worked out perfectly. The same with Portugal; they always bring something very special, just like Georgia. And I think with when the Euro fandom says weaker, it says usually also means not the mainstream. With the first semifinal, you find countries who usually send something that is mostly very appealing, while countries or broadcasters in the second semifinal try other stuff, and I like that.
Mhm. Any final thoughts on it, Dominik? Overall,
I think the variation is good, and the winner could come from any part, from any semifinal. And it's the most important thing is probably that the broadcasters stick to their ideas and develop more ideas and stick to them. And if they work hard, they can go to the top 5, and everything is possible for everyone.
and I'd say for me is that let's just say that let's not rush to judge, and I think the best approach would be, even though we have these statistics which prove us wrong or like can prove us right, is like people always say, never judge a book by its cover. I'm just gonna round it off by saying like even though they've been allocated where they're gonna be competing, that doesn't necessarily seal their fate, because we still don't know, and we still got about a month and a bit till we find out everyone's songs.
I think we know more when we know the running order and every song. And do you guys have anything less to say?
Nope, and I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you like it. Let us know what you want to tell us in the comment sections below. Give a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, and yeah, hope you like the video. And see you soon.
See you.